Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Wendy Reeve. Bob Buckner here. David Melky.
Here.
Tom Graham.
Here.
Kathy Macho.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Anybody in the audience like to make comments on the agenda?
Hi, Allison Larson, 255 East Bluff. As I walk through town, it is clear that many sidewalks are in poor condition, cracked, crumbling, and long overdue for replacement. The sidewalk in front of my own house was damaged by the city approximately 6 or 7 years ago during a sewer and road replacement project. We were told 5 summers ago that was on the list to be replaced, yet nothing has been done. Meanwhile, our brand new $750,000 boardwalk already shows signs of neglect. Some repairs are in need of repair. Some areas are in need of repair. Weeds are growing into and around the structure, some reaching over 4 feet tall, and peanut shells left littering the surface every morning by a man who feeds the chipmunks and squirrels. At the base of the stairs, the greenery is so overgrown it resembles a jungle. Despite these ongoing maintenance issues, tonight Rachel Roon is requesting $30,000 for a new sidewalk that would cut through a beautiful green space park. This is deeply concerning. The city has been negligent in maintaining the sidewalks and public spaces we already have. Why are we considering pouring more concrete when we can't keep up with what already exists? Furthermore, the taxpayers in the city of Harbor Springs saw a 3.5% increase in property taxes in 2025. What exactly is the additional revenue going toward, if not the basic upkeep of our infrastructure? We do not need new cement. We need responsible maintenance of our current assets. Let's prioritize maintenance, care, and preservation of what we already have over expansion. Until we can adequately manage and maintain our current sidewalks, parks, and boardwalk, it is fiscally and environmentally irresponsible to keep adding more. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Anybody else have a comment? Yes, sir.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kevin Gipri. I live at 129 East Bluff Drive, and I appreciate the opportunity to make the comments I'm about to make. So it's really regarding the M119 and State Street intersection project, which I understand will be starting after Labor Day. I'd like to make a recommendation that the current city council reconsider parts of the project, as 3 of the 5 members I don't think have really weighed in on it. So that would be my ask. There's 5 components as I understand it. 3 of them are amazing. The first one, replace the surface of the intersection, continuing up State Street to the intersection with Summit, with concrete to prevent the waffling of the pavement. I think that's great. The second one, as long as the street is dug up, my understanding is that the city will be replacing 75-year-old water lines, which is a great idea. The third one, replacing the sidewalk going up M119, I think that is time is due. That is going to be good for the community. What I have trouble with on the project is the narrowing of State Street, which would be 10 feet, 5 feet from each side, for the stated purpose of reducing the flow of water down the street. So I would say rather than lose 10 valuable feet of drivable street at one end of Harbor Springs' busiest intersection, perhaps we should explore the placement of more drains to facilitate water movement as a better use of our tax dollars. As Chief Knight stated in September of 2024, from a traffic situation, there's been 14 accidents at that corner in 25 years. And none of them were related to water or to left-hand turns. So I think you made a good point, Kyle, that trucks coming up M119, if the road is narrow, that may be tough with traffic. They may have to back down to be able to kind of get through. So just seems like I would ask that be reconsidered. The second one is narrowing of the East Bluff Drive to shave the south side hillside down to increase the view line down the hill. I just don't see that as being very effective, kind of a lot of money spent that I'm not sure that's going to provide the benefits that you're hoping for. And so I also think by making that street narrower, it's going to be tough to make that right-hand turn coming up M119 to go on East Bluff. And so I think if we want to keep that a two-lane street, which I think hopefully we do, having that be narrowed is just, I don't think is going to provide the benefits that we're looking for. It's also going to eliminate some parking on 2 or 3 of the first houses, ours being one of them on East Bluff. And then finally, I would just like to say that the stop sign, when people come down State Street, that stop sign is kind of back. Maybe we could move that up closer to M119 so you could sort of actually look left. So that'd be my recommendation. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anybody else like to make a comment?
I have a letter from a city resident on that same subject, if everyone's finding mind reading it. I'm ready to express my strong opposition to the proposed narrowing of State Street and East Bluff Drive, as well as the plan to shade the adjacent hillside near the intersection with M119. Narrowing State Street between M119 and Summit. State Street is a vital high traffic corridor that serves as a primary conduit between downtown and uptown. Narrowing this key roadway would create unnecessary challenges for larger vehicles, including garbage trucks, delivery trucks, semis, and trailers, particularly when making a right turn from M119 onto State Street. These turns already require care and space, and reducing the roadway's width will only increase the likelihood of traffic congestion, vehicle damage, or safety hazards. Additionally, narrowing the road will worsen water runoff by creating a chute effect that channels rainwater more aggressively down the slope. Rather than restrict the flow of water with a narrower street profile, the city should consider improving drainage. One constructive step would be to increase the number of storm drains beyond the 6 currently in place. Properly managing runoff through expanded drainage is a safer, more effective, and less disruptive solution. And then she speaks on narrowing East Bluff Drive and shaving the hillside. As a local resident and frequent user of this road, I do not believe this is a dangerous intersection that warrants such drastic changes. The proposed hillside shaving would not meaningfully improve visibility of vehicles. The grade and curve of the road naturally limit the line of sight, and removing part of the hillside would do little to address that core issue. Instead of altering the landscape, a more effective, far less invasive and inexpensive solution would be the installation of a roadside mirror, similar to the one currently in place at the top of Judd and East Bluff. This is proven to significantly improve visibility at that location and would offer the same safety benefits here. Additionally, I suggest relocating the existing stop sign on State Street. Moving it closer to M119 would help drivers better assess traffic conditions and encourage safer decision-making when turning onto M119. Thank you for your time and consideration. Karen McMurray, 137 East Bluff Drive. Okay.
Thank you, Wendy. Anybody got any comments on any of the previous comments?
Is it normal to have a copy of that letter available? Since we have recorded the other comment?
I can forward it to you, everybody right now.
That's fine. I mean, I don't need it this minute. I'm just,
We would need it
for those, yeah, that'd be great. That's all.
She would have come tonight and read it herself, but they ended up with an invitation to go someplace.
Okay.
Important meeting.
This summer.
Have a motion to approve the agenda and it's been modified.
I'll move to approve the agenda as is.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. By voice vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carried. Any comments from anybody on the consent agenda? On the discussion items then.
We would need to vote on the,
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Tom Graham,
Yes,
Bob Buckner. Yes. Wendy Reed,
Yes.
Kathy Macho,
Yes,
Jamie Melky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
discussion items. Tell us about our. Tell us about his new toy.
all right, no, we're on Small Business Administration, a storm update. So we have Julie Garrett from the Public Affairs Specialist with the SBA, the Small Business Administration. He's just going to update council and the community on the status of loan assistance for people who are still recovering from ice storm damage on their property. Of course, I have not heard yet about FEMA's assistance for public infrastructure. That's going through yet, but this is for residences and businesses. So I'll let Julie take it away.
Everybody, good evening. Yeah, so I'm here to tell you that while your state is waiting for FEMA to make their decision, your governor activated SBA coming in with a disaster loan program. So we help homeowners, renters, businesses of all sizes, and nonprofit organizations. Anyone affected by the ice storm in Emmett County and also Sheboygan and all the counties that touch Sheboygan are eligible to apply. So I wanted to first give you some statistics. So far, we've gotten 46 applications from Sheboygan County, 45 from Emmett, and 44 from Otsego County, just so you can see your county is right up there at the top. And I've heard that it was among the most seriously affected, so that makes sense that your applications would be high. We have a center open. It's open at the Little Traverse Township Building. I think it's 8288 South Pleasant View Road. We have folks in there who will help people that come in. If they're older or have trouble with the computer or just have questions, they'll help them put in an application. If they've had trouble with the application, it's got stalled, they can help them stick it and keep it going through the process. So we do have assistance available right here. There's 3 types of loans: physical disaster loans, and that's for tree damage, debris removal from a yard, if somebody's power was pulled off their house, anything like that, any kind of physical damage from the ice storm, they could apply for that. But it has to be their primary residence. So I think you might have a lot of second and third homes here, I've heard. But primary residences, people could apply for that. It's up to $500,000 for their uncompensated loss, and the interest rate is as low as 2.75%. So that's a really great interest rate. There are no payments for the first year and no interest for the first year. So businesses can apply for up to $2 million for their physical damage and also for economic loss. So even if your businesses didn't have damage, but they had to close, or the whole area was kind of frozen out and devastated for a while and people couldn't go to those businesses, they could apply for economic injury and loss for working capital loans. So that's what's available. The loans are can also be increased by up to 20% for their mitigation needs. So if anybody wants to make their house stronger, they can add that onto their loan. And that's kind of the program. Basically, you can apply at sba.gov/disaster. sba.gov/disaster. If anybody here wants information, I have a bunch in my backpack I can give you. And then we have an 800 number, 800-659-2955. And you want to get your physical loan application by August 8th. And if you're a business, you have until March 9th of next year to get that in. So that's just the quick overview. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I do have a question. Do you know if we have any applicants from the city limits of City Harbor Springs?
I don't have that report then, but I can request that and email it to
It would be good to know, see how many of our residents apply, right?
Have you got copies, Victor, of this that are available if somebody comes by the city council and or the city hall and would like the information that Julie provided?
We can make the copies available. We did do a post. Couple.
Yeah,
So on the
okay.
website.
That was
you.
just,
But we
oh, it is. Perfect, okay.
But I have a bunch of notes, so I'd be happy to leave more here, so.
I think that's
I
fine.
know that's-
And honestly, people can contact Victor and he has all my contact info. I'm fine with anybody calling me or emailing me, so anything I can do to help. Okay?
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor, item 4B is a discussion on the bathroom alternatives for the Harbor Master Building during construction. Do you know the Harbor Master Building renovations will start after Labor Day, September 1st or 2nd this year, I believe it's early. And likely to last until mid-May, depending on the pace of the project. So for that period of time, there won't be any bathrooms open at the Harbor Master Building. Either people will have to go to Ford Park, which we will keep open. It's a winterized building, so we will keep Ford Park open, or they have to go to the beach, city beach bathrooms, which aren't winterized, and would be closed probably mid-late fall, depending on the weather. October, November. So we looked into porta potties, just what the cost would be to install porta potties and to have them regularly, maintained by K&J Septic. And the DDA director, Becky Goodman, is also looking at bathroom trailer, more, I don't say upscale, but better looking than, just throwing porta potties there. And that is something that the DDA will look at their August meeting. But I think since September, Labor Day is coming up and that construction is gonna start soon, I think council should at least make a decision on whether or not we want to have some sort of alternative bathrooms, whether it's only for the fall, for those couple of months where it's busy, or throughout the whole winter and into spring. That's why we're here, to ask if you want that, get a rough idea of the costs. There is, you see here, $185 per month for one cleaning a week, is for a standard unit for one porta potty. And you see the different costs. It's $70 extra for certain days. If you do extra cleaning, $110 for different days. And then if you have an ADA unit, those cost even more money. But generally, you could expect to spend at least $1,600 throughout the construction if you plan to have them for the whole fall, winter, and early spring. That's the bare minimum. If you go for better units, of course, or more units, more money. We still don't have a cost yet for that bathroom trailer. They come, Becky Goodman tells me there's a company in Traverse City that can deliver them, and they will deliver them up there. She's still waiting on a cost estimate for that, so we won't get those for a few days. But so really, the real question is, knowing this kind of potential money, how much money does council want to spend? And I know we'll be asking the DDA to help cover a portion, at least for a couple of months of the year, especially those fall time, when there's a lot of people coming downtown for shopping, but also how to, should we split the money evenly between the waterfront fund, general fund, DDA, or do you want to see a different split? Or if you even want to do this, if you're comfortable with people just going elsewhere, that's fine too. But I think wasn't included in the budget or the construction project cost to have porta potties. So
Is this for a single unit?
that's for one unit for one bathroom. That's the price for one bathroom.
1665.
Well, 185 with one cleaning per month. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry, one cleaning per week.
contract, what about it?
That's for the contractors. They'll have.
Is the restroom trailers, are those heated?
I don't know. I didn't get the details.
I
just
guess
know-
that was just,
Yeah.
if we're, if
Just
some kind of
because-
heat is an issue, certainly a porta potty isn't gonna be heated.
No.
So, yeah.
So isn't the first question, do you want them?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, from my perspective, certainly through September, October, yes. When you get into November and December and season drops off, I don't think you're gonna have nearly the traffic down there. I don't know if it's a reasonable expenditure for that. But I don't know how the rest of the group feels, but it makes sense that they would be there for those 2 months.
Yeah, I guess my question is, as far as the timing would be, what city events are there? I mean, we're gonna have, I know city events, 2 or 3 in September.
Yeah.
At least 1 in October.
The Fall Fest is October.
Right, so, and to not have bathroom facilities when we have events on this downtown city, Harbor City properties is, I think, a problem.
Reflects poorly on the city.
I think so.
I agree with Bob. I also question if one is sufficient at that time of the year. When there's, hundreds of people coming.
Yeah.
I would almost rather see like 2 units for September and October and then maybe nothing at all in the winter.
That's consistent with my thinking, Jamie.
That's cheap.
We lock them and unlock them all year round, the marina, we lock it. And I would say the activity in November, December, January, it's like minimal, but in the fall, it's very heavy. And because we know what traffic goes in and out of there, so I strongly agree with all of you that we definitely need at least 2, I feel, throughout the fall into October. And even like maybe the first week of November, and then the other event that we have is the Christmas tree lighting and Merchant Boat. Now, they don't get a whole lot of activity that those night. Most people use the restaurant or whatever, but we'll, like Victor said, we'll continue to unlock Ford all year round. But I definitely think that we need some there during September and October. And I agree with Jamie that that we at least need 2. For the 4th of July, we have 4. That's just.
As far as the split goes, I don't know that I am ready to make that decision until we figure out the split of who's paying for the renovations. If the waterfront fund is paying for the entire renovation, I don't think that they should have to contribute to the porta potties when that's not the majority of who's using them at that time.
Has there been any discussion with the DDA regarding?
The DDA did not meet in July, so they're gonna meet in early August, and they're gonna discuss this.
So they haven't discussed paying for any portion of it?
No,
Okay.
that is something that they will, if the council wants them to, I mean, it should be a question. Council should make that specific question, that's that you want the DDA, and they'll
Okay.
discuss it. As far as the bathrooms, though, I know that I did talk with Becky, and I think she thinks, I won't speak on everything, but from my understanding, she thinks that bathrooms would be a great idea for September and October. And I think she said she's willing to talk to the DA about contributing for the bathroom.
I would like to see them talk about contributing to the whole project and the bathrooms. Personally, I mean, even if nothing comes out of it, I think that the discussion needs to be had.
Can't talk them into it this time, we'll get them next time.
So who cleans the bathrooms that we have now? It's Marina.
Was the question, sorry?
Who cleans the bathrooms now at the Marina?
During the summer months, it's the harbor master staff, and yeah, and then I think who cleans it at? Rachel, the park staff cleans it in the winter, going, and when the harbor master staff isn't there.
Is there any consequence in terms of the timing when we make this commitment? So I like Jamie's idea, but is there a point in time by which we have to make this decision in order to ensure that the facilities are going to be available?
We have another council meeting on August 4th, I believe. So I don't think the council, that the DA meets until August. I want that second Wednesday. So then we're running into potentially a council decision in late August. For the trailer, if you're thinking about going with the bathroom trailer, that decision probably be made a little sooner, but I just don't have the details on that. Porta potties are fairly easier to come by, especially as activity dies down in the summer. There's usually easier to come by, so I don't think we're in a rush. But I do think if we have some direction at staff saying that this is something you want to do, then we can start working on the details specifically and work with the DDA on getting more details, but I didn't want to spend too much time before I knew that.
Right.
Either so this is, council wants it, then the next question is obviously, how do we go about splitting the cost? And
Do you need a motion or? by
if I have a
consensus?
general consensus that you want to pursue getting some sort of bathrooms down there, then we can bring back more alternatives.
Portable bathroom spots.
The portable,
The restroom trailers.
the trailer, or these ones?
Trailer,
I don't, the company hasn't given the quote yet. We're gonna get that in a few days.
have water and sewer right there.
If you can bring that back in at the first meeting in August, I think we could be better prepared to make an actual decision, but I think that at least bathrooms in September, October, and May would be necessary.
And then August, we plan on having discussion on also at the same time about the splitting the renovation, harbor master building renovation cost. That's gonna be, we're gonna bring our quarterly update of the budget, the August 4th meeting, and then talk about what the budget is looking like. So you guys can make a more informed decision about how to split between general fund, waterfront, and DDA if they're willing to contribute to that project. So that would be a good time, but this at least gives us the go ahead saying you want it, so now I know that we can get the details to you. Comment, Mr. Mayor?
I think you have to provide the services,
Absolutely.
crappy job, but
I get it.
let's move along then.
Let's do it.
All right, item 4C is the Shea Park final plans. We did present council with some cost estimates and plans back in April, I believe. Council had requested some minor changes, asked staff to explore funding options. And as you saw in Director Rooney's memo, there are some funding options. One of those is setting up a fund with the Petoskey Community Harbor Community Foundation that would collect money on behalf of this project. We would fundraise through the foundation for that. So that's one idea. And also, Rachel, there's $1,000, gets your name on a plaque on a rock. At the pole. So we are exploring different fundraising options. I can't say I'm confident we'll cover the whole cost of the project, but I think we'll make some decent headway. I think it would be good to know if if we fundraise a certain amount of money, is council still willing to spend some of that $30,000 budget to go forward with this project? I think that would be helpful to know how much we need to work toward. Also to review the plans and see if there's any changes or requests, additions before we take this to the planning commission for their review. Then the goal is to come back in the fall with a fundraising update and changes that the planning commission may see or want. And coming back to council with those in the fall to make a decision. And if council's okay with it at that point, then we probably bid it out. It'd probably be a spring project. And where we're at with fundraising.
I will, real quick, if you pull up the next slide. Yeah. I think at Parks, we had discussed having it not go in. Yeah.
Yeah, so with Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, yeah, so I spoke to Tim from Beckett and Raider, and we're gonna look at just having this go out to save some of the green space. He has it kind of curving in. I don't know if he did that based on the survey or why he did that. But our request would be to just have it do a nice curve to save as much green space as possible. And we probably about to say this as well, we go down a little, Victor. We also will not be needing this. I'm having them remove that. When Cops poured the concrete base for the locomotive, there's an ADA accessible path off Judd. So this will be removed as well. So just keep that in mind. So that would actually be what's going to the planning commission. This removed to see if we can bump that out a little bit to save some of the green space. Sorry, Jamie, I need to.
No, that's exactly what I,
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Are the stairs already baked into this plan?
They're-
I haven't been involved in all the different
Yes.
parks meetings and
Yeah,
stuff,
so
but
those would be considered a phase two, that's how he has it, and I actually misspoke at the Parks Board meeting, so I'm glad you brought it up. The step he has is a phase two for just over $15,000. Ideally, we'd like to fundraise for it as a whole, so we don't cut the sidewalk off. Like right past the AHA, and then we can just continue to the steps, but he does have it priced out in
is it
phases.
included in this that we got?
Yeah, so the 21 is the walkway. And then the next description is the stairs. So the total with the stairs and walkway comes to just short of 37,000.
And that doesn't include any of the landscaping or trees or any of that stuff.
And to clarify, so we're adjusting some of the trees within the park. We're not planting new trees. We're not taking any down. We're gonna move some to Harbor View. We're gonna strategically place them in other areas. And we have that priced out already, spoken to someone about $500 per tree, like five trees, so.
So in the $37,000, the stairs are included, but they're not broken down anywhere.
They are,
Yeah,
That's where I'm sorry.
under site improvements on the second cost estimate
Okay.
sheet. Under site improvements, there's concrete steps. You see 12 linear feet of that, and with the
Oh.
sidewalk, then you have $9,300 for that.
So 9,300 is the steps.
Yeah, but there's also then site preparation that they included that, so, but that's just the concrete for the site improvements, but yes, this second cost estimate is basically the site work involved with the steps there. That's what I
Okay.
think.
I believe when Parks brought it to council, there were 3 requests. One was to break it up for the price estimates, stairs versus
Mhm.
pathway, almost to reduce the hardscape, and the other was to bring some fundraising options. I believe that's why Tim then broke the stairs off to see what that cost alone.
Is the railing that they are quoting there the one that's going to match what's existing already on Main Street?
Asked for it to match.
How come this wasn't included in the initial proposal to put the train there? It's expense.
So I think when the Historical Society proposed the locomotive, that's when council at that time had asked to see a site plan for the Shea Park. A plan before we went ahead with approving the whole locomotive. And so that's why we brought back the preliminary site plan. A few times we've been to council on with this different site plan. So that's why we didn't have a cost estimate, because there was no plan at that time when it was originally proposed to have a sidewalk go through it.
But nobody discussed who's gonna pay for it, huh?
So they did, in the capital improvements plan we did include $30,000 for the project overall. But at that time, when we included it, when we went through the process, the details of exactly what was gonna be in that weren't etched out. It was just a rough conceptual idea of what we were doing.
How much have we spent today?
I don't think we've spent, other than staff time working on this, any money that we've spent on the engineer, so the architect here. I don't know exactly what that cost is, but we did come to council to get that estimate. That would have been 5,000. I don't know exactly how much it is, but
Yeah, I know.
that's the only money we've spent So the design part. is where we spend.
Thank you.
Historical Society, I believe, has covered the costs, and correct me if I'm wrong, for the ADA portion that already leads to the locomotive. Yeah, sorry. We haven't received the bill for it yet.
Is the stairs something that a decision the council needs to make, or is that really something that planning needs to?
Well, ultimately,
Decide.
any changes to the city council, any changes to city land, that's council's purview, like these capital improvement projects are within capitals. However, we go to the planning commission to ensure that it meets, we do our best to ensure we meet our zoning and et cetera. So we have the planning commission review it just so they might see something based on a zoning review that, these stairs are located somewhere else at the park or something. They may see that, but I'm not saying they will, but that's usually our.
And then if they wanted to change something, it would then come back to council?
If they have any changes to whatever we submit to them, that will come back to council. That wouldn't need to go back again to the planning commission, but if they have any proposed changes, because those proposed changes could affect the cost and the character, and council would want to know that.
Are there any proposed savings implicit in maybe straightening that pathway out a little bit rather than having it so meandering? So I would assume there's less concrete being
Yeah.
used.
That's kind of our goal, is to make it a more fluid curve.
Do we know the extent of the savings there?
I don't, but I can let you know when Beckett Rader gets back to me.
I mean, that would be certainly good to know.
We'll also be eliminating that stretch they have that connects it to Bay Street. So that'll eliminate minimal, but cost savings nonetheless. So what Parks would be requesting is to start the fund with the foundation. It's the same fund we used for the skate park, very similar. The foundation takes a 2 to 3% fee. They also track all the fundraising. They send all the thank you letters for tax purposes to all donors. We'll continue with the Boulder, and then Parks would like to come back in a fall meeting with an update of where we're at fundraising, to then adjust for funding to get this project completed.
Why do you need a cement path around the train but not around the boat?
Well, I believe the Historical Society, and I don't want to speak for them, idea was for people to be able to walk around the locomotive, like for tours or whatever they plan on doing. Our path is just for ADA accessibility to get to the AHA. I don't feel we need more concrete space than needed, but we do need ADA accessibility to it.
Different.
Rachel, when you first proposed this, did you know or explain to the city that when the Historical Society asked to bring the train in, that you would also have to fill that green space that just a year ago was a big lawn with the concrete to connect the boat and the train? I don't remember any conversation about that until very late in the process.
We did, actually, it was, I believe, almost been a year ago, Victor, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we took it to the planning commission to get the locomotive approved, and the planning commission specifically asked for a site plan and how to connect the two pieces.
Before they approved it or after? So you explained to everybody there's gonna be a concrete path connecting the boat and the train?
Yeah, because we had to make the AHA and the locomotive in some way ADA accessible. Now, whether or
Did
not.
you know that when the Historical Society asked to put the train there?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
How much money do we have budgeted for citizen sidewalk repair this year?
We typically budget $35,000, which is at 10% of what it's at, but we did, believe was it this year, we came for a capital improvements project request to combine a couple years worth so we can do the M119 sidewalk stretch going up.
So that will be this year's sidewalk project.
It would be next year. We were saving up for 2 years. So we, instead of spending all that money this year, we wanted to save up so we could do one larger project.
So that sidewalk is 70,000 spread over 2
Or
years.
potentially more, yeah.
I mean, that's my basic problem with this is there are citizens ask me all the time, when is our sidewalks getting fixed? This is sexy and fun and new and shiny, but that's what they want, is their sidewalks fixed. So that's, I mean, if they fundraise for this and they can cover it 100%, I'm all for it. But I hate to spend any city money when they're putting in more sidewalk, when we're not maintaining the sidewalk that we have.
There is I mean, that's a point well taken. There is a program, and I know some residents are sometimes upset by the pace of sidewalk repairs, but we do have a specific amount of money dedicated from our street millage, our local street millage. 10%. If council at budget season ever wants to say, we want to put more general fund money towards sidewalks, you can do that. You can direct us to do that. But at this point, we are only using our street millage money to fix sidewalks. And the DDA also is contributing some money to repair, maintain downtown sidewalks. Now they have it in their budget. But at this point, that's the money we're limited to, because the rest of the money in the local street millage is for the streets, for saving up money for the actual streets as opposed to sidewalks. So point well taken. We hear that about sidewalks, but I also want to mention that this, this project itself did not evolve from city staff coming to council saying we want to do this. It came from a historical society wanting to put the locomotive here, and then planning commission and council wanting to do a site plan for this area. So an ADA requirement. So all those things combined, that's why we have this here. It is a different pool of money, but of course, council can decide to transfer money out from general fund and use it for annual sidewalk operations. So the money we do spend on sidewalks is relatively small. It's not a lot of money. It seems like it, $35,000, but some sidewalk repairs even small sections can cost a lot of money. So I think that's something for council to think about at budget season. You want to contribute more money either from the street fund or from general fund or other ways to contribute to sidewalks.
Just, oh, I'm sorry, quick question on the, you're asking to set up the community foundation fund. And this is only for Shea Park, correct?
Correct. So project specific is how we set up funds at the community foundation.
Okay. I guess my only question is, I'm going back to the fact that I really wonder if we need stairs, and could we save enough on that to maybe save money for sidewalks or something, potentially?
Skateboarders could use it.
Huh?
Angled sidewalk.
Oh,
Got quite time we got pushed out there.
You know, you push the button.
Here in Oakfield, West Travis Township. So I guess my question is, after spending a lot of time during the 4th of July, walking up and down the sidewalks. This is a sidewalk here. And then the sidewalk goes across there up to sort of the rest of the exit of Main Street. And I just don't see the stairs getting any particular kind of use. There is no pedestrian place that the people are going to. And I think with parks, you want to capture people in a park. You want them to come to the park, and then you want them to stay there and to have a picnic, not to leave the park right away. I think that Wendy's point is well made, that this is a sidewalk that it's gonna, in 20 years, gonna have the same problems that we're having now. And knowing a little bit more about the history of that staircase from the Demmer family, I just don't see it having any kind of need. And like I said, I would love to see people come to the parks and stay in the parks. Thank you.
They're doing yoga there sometimes. I don't know.
Saturdays,
Saturday?
Saturday morning.
Anybody else got a comment on Shea Park?
so do you need a motion on these two items?
Yeah, I think it would at least a motion to, I think with a motion, if you even want to separate them out, one motion to set up the fund so that we can can go back to the Community Foundation Center Council approved authorization to set up a fund. Then a motion to send the plans as so far suggested with edits, which was kind of straightening out this curve and removing this section down in the left, bottom left corner here from it to the planning commission for review. And then at that stage, planning commission could review this. When we come back in the fall with fundraising, you could also decide then or now whether or not you really want to do the stairs, depending on where we're at with money, and give you some more time to process thoughts on it. I don't think we're in an urgent rush to say we need to do the stairs. I think one of the idea of having the stairs, it evolved from several discussions, obviously with the Demers originally, but is if you have a sidewalk, are you you don't just want to stop it here. So where would the sidewalk stop? I think we have potential cutoff place where it could stop if we didn't have stairs. I think it's right here. Not mistaken.
Stairs aren't very ADA, are they?
No, but there is another ADA access from the bottom, from down this part of it. Now that we have this connected to the sidewalk locomotive. So there is an ADA access to the sidewalk.
Is the second one required, or is that just something you want to do?
There is no ADA access currently to the Ahavo. There's ADA access to the locomotive, but not to the Ahavo. That's
I,
In a couple of feet. 5 feet maybe.
I would move that we establish a special project fund at the Community Foundation to help fundraise for the project.
I would second.
Wendy Reeve.
Am I allowed to have a little more discussion?
Sure.
Yes, certainly.
I'm wondering why we're going through the Community Foundation instead of doing it through City Hall. I mean, 2%, if you gave me $2,000, I'm only giving them 60, so it's not a lot, but why do it that way at all?
We're funding through City Hall for the boardwalk. Other things we're doing commitments, it would be easier to pass off something small like this to the Petoskey Community Foundation while we work on these other things, so. And Rachel, I know you.
Another great resource that we realized specifically in City Park is the foundation. They won't do the fundraising for you specifically, but they have really great resources for reaching out to funds and accumulating those funds. They also can take stock. They can also take credit cards. So it just kind of brings in more donations. So a smaller project like this is a great fit for them. I do want to let you all know that you do apply for these funds. You're not guaranteed just because you fill out the application. You get it, it goes to the foundation board, their director, and then we're awarded that fund.
So I think part of the premise too was a 2 to 3% cut on $30,000 project. It's a lot smaller than going to them for the boardwalk project, which would be 2 to 3% on $500,000. So, and we already have established relationships with donors from the previous Western Boardwalk section, so that we're making, just having discussions with them about donations. It's already easier for us to donate, to fundraise that way. So that, just a couple of the reasons. We don't have to do it, but then it'll just, I feel with what we're doing with the boardwalk, we're already, yeah.
Well, the major reason I heard was that they take credit cards and we don't. So I'm wondering why the city doesn't take credit cards.
We've looked into that a few times, why we do take credit.
Take credit cards for utilities and taxes through an online portal, but over the years, nobody had pushed enough for it to justify the cost.
It would also be probably a bookkeeping nightmare to then have city staff have to send out the letters for small donations to all of the people. Whereas that's what the Petoskey Harbor Springs Community Foundation does. When you donate $100, they send you a letter, and city staff or somebody would have to do that to make it tax deductible. And if we accepted credit cards through the city, there's a processing fee for credit cards anyway. So, I mean, that's 2 to 3%, the same as the Community Foundation.
I feel like we looked at this about a year and a half ago through the RRC process about credit cards, because that was one of their best practices, and we discussed this and mulled it over and came to council, and credit cards just wasn't a good option for us. Didn't make sense financially, and the demand wasn't there. It is helpful though on these projects. I mean, it's helpful to have a button where we can just click and, you know, donate money, but something like the boardwalk, while I think we encourage want everyone to donate, the bulk of the donations are gonna come from the larger, $25,000, $50,000 donations. Whereas a project like this, there'll probably be some smaller donations involved. It's an assumption, but
Did I understand that the community foundation was preferred setting up a smaller fund like this than? I mean, I know you've had discussions with them,
You mean this as opposed to the boardwalk? Or,
right, or how we define this fund compared to like just setting up a fund generally. I
Oh,
thought they
yeah.
wanted it
Yeah.
for specific
So-
projects, correct?
sorry, so for instance, can't go to the foundation and set up a Parks and Recreation fund with the foundation where, you know, Harry donates $25 and we have no idea where that $25 is going. Donations are usually very specific as to what park, project, thing they wanted to go towards, and it's just a lot of organization to the foundation to do that. So in lieu of that, they do the special project fund. That way, every donor can donate project and know exactly where it's going. Similar to when we do the boardwalk through the city, you know, when you put in a donation, it goes on a specific line item to make it tax.
I do think that they would like to see a smaller project and not like a $1.5 million project, because I think they ran into issues with like the Petoskey Winter Sports Park where they don't.
They also prefer
Yeah.
a 1 year timeline, 2 years tops. They like them to be quick in and out so their staff can move on to other projects. So yeah, so David Jones, the director of the foundation, came and spoke to someone on the Parks Board, and he was really supportive of their project fund. So he was really happy with how the skate park turned out.
Talk about police business here.
there's a motion on the table. And a second, right? There's a second.
I've got a motion in the second to direct
Set up.
staff to set up the fund with the community foundation.
Apply, so
Yes, so I've got a motion, and a second, Kathy Macho,
Yes.
Jamie Melky.
Yes.
Bob Buckner.
Yes.
Lenny Reed,
Yes.
Tom Graham,
Yes,
motion carried.
and then the second, this one can probably be even just consensus if you want to send it to the planning commission. The plans, which I go hand in hand with, say, fund.
I would like to see it go to the planning commission just because I would like to see what they have to say about it, but I think that I would like to see included the full plan, like with what trees are moving. And then when it comes back to council, I would like to see a full cost, including the cost of the plans, the cost of the landscaping, the tree removal, if we need benches. I think we need to see the whole package together.
That is doable.
It's reasonable.
Got consensus?
Yes.
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 Okay, yeah.
So it has been said, so will be done.
All right. Moving on to the police business. We came back in March, well, we came to council in March to purchase a police vehicle to replace one of our older vehicles. It was part of our capital improvements plan in the budget. We had selected Brown Motor to purchase that. They came in tied with Longhammer Ford for the lowest price, and so then we selected them, Brown Motors, because they were local. They were not able to secure the vehicle for the police department. They had a few months to do this. They just weren't able to, for internal reasons, to be able to order the vehicle. So it's a disappointment. We have to move on. And so, Chief Knight received 2 quotes from Lunghammer Ford and Fontaine Ford for the 2026 model. So Chief, if you want to expand on that.
Alrighty, yeah, we came back in the end of February, 1st of March, and Brown was courteous enough to give us a matching bid, and so council approved to purchase that car. I've been in contact with them on and on and on, trying to determine when that car, we should have had it by July. And then I went to our chief summer conference, spoke with Lunghammer, LaFontaine, and Grono. They all provide police cars throughout the state of Michigan, and they all 3 said that if they would have ordered that car in March, we'd have had it by now. So I went back to Brown. Brown said, we're not gonna get you the car. So I can't go backwards, we need to go forward. This car had already been approved to be purchased. So I went out and got 2 new quotes. Fortunately enough, I won't get the car till hopefully the end of October, maybe the first part of November. It'll be a 2026 model. But the good thing is we saved $1,900 because actually ironically enough, the cost of the 2026, this is the same car as what I would have purchased a 2025 is $1,900 cheaper. So I guess by our misfortune, the only bad thing is we're down to like 3 cars because one of our cars in the shop might not be repairable. So I want to get this ordered as soon as possible, but that's where we're at with this. And then next year I'll come back with basically the same quote because we have another patrol car in the 2026 CIP plan. But any questions on that?
Yes. If you delay again, can we save another 19?
We might have to get some horses or something, but maybe, I don't know. When I talked to, there's one guy out of Lunghammer, he sells probably, my guess would be around 1,500 police cars a year. And Bill Campbell's his name. He's a very reliable source for me. And I talked to him at the conference. I talked to him on the phone to get this quote, and he says the quicker you can get it in, hopefully they'll start manufacturing the first part of September or the end of August. So hopefully we'll be one of the first ones in. So that's what I'm hoping.
Keep you looking good.
Good job.
Oh, well, I'm disappointed because we need a car. We're getting up there in mileage, but it all worked out. And I talked to Derek at Brown Morris. He feels terrible about it. I want to give them a chance because they never provided us a police car before. And but it is what it is, and we move forward.
Thank you, Chief.
If there are no other questions, we're just asking for a motion to approve the purchase of the police 2026 Ford Police Utility from Lunghammer Ford, $45,562.
I'll make that a motion, I guess.
I'll second.
All right, Wendy Reeve,
Yes.
Jamie Melky.
Yes.
Tom Graham,
Yes.
Kathy Macho,
Yes.
Bob Buckner.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, Chief Knight is up again. I'll just set him up here. We have in the budget, we have about $12,000 is what we put in the capital improvements plan and what it would actually cost to replace the police entry doors on the western and eastern side of the building. So Chief Knight was able to obtain a quote, came down to $13,800. Chief, if you want to explain the process there.
Our police department doors, like, it's just one of these building maintenance things that we're gonna, like the roofs and all that within our doors, the front door doesn't secure. So we need to replace it. And I put it in the capital improvement plan. I got a quote from Access Locksmithing out of Petoskey. They do the swipe cards here at City Hall, I believe, and they do our swipe cards, the entries, because our evidence room has to be swipe carded. So when we gain access, they've done all of our building in the City Hall as well. So I reached out to them to get a quote. It seemed like a lot of money. I talked to Jared, he's the owner, and he's like, this is what it costs. And it's a cement or a brick building. I mean, it's not like going to your house and replacing a door. So then per the purchase and procurement policy, I was supposed to get 2 quotes. So I reached out to a couple of local builders just to see one, when I put in here, Jeff Ford from Evening Star Joinery, he can do this. And he says, who do you currently use? And I said, Access Locksmithing. He says, my quote's not going to beat their quote. They do good work and they can connect right with our current swipe card stuff. So that's why I got the 1 quote. I did get 2 quotes. But he assured me that his quote would be higher than what this quote would be. And I would still have to have Access come in and hook up the locks. But I know it's a lot of money for a couple doors. But it's like, we need it. And it's just one of those things, sooner or later, if you look at them, they're rusted, doesn't secure. So I know it's a lot of money. I feel bad about it. It's gradually, we need to start taking care of our buildings.
These are automatic opening doors as you're getting older.
I can push a button. I need to remote it.
Is it just
old?
Yes, they're rusted. The building's sort of, if our front door, I mean, if you go in the front door, and actually it's happened over here a little bit, they're rusted out. They've been there, I don't think,
2030.
so they've been there for 23 years. And I know, they don't make them like they used to, I don't know, but that, yes.
Any other discussion on the doors?
Well, the equipment fund saved $1,900, but we'll be spending $1,800 extra on the doors, so a wash.
I move to approve the quote by Access Locksmithing.
But yeah,
Second.
Bob, did you seconded?
Yes, you did.
Tom Graham,
Yes.
Kathy Macho,
Yes,
Jamie Melky.
Yes.
Bob Buckner.
Yes.
And Wendy Reed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And I'll just say this morning, I was in New Orleans at 7 o'clock, it's 85 degrees. And when we landed in Traverse City at just before 5, I come around the bay and I told my wife, I said, it's just, everybody should appreciate what we have here. It's like, it's beautiful here. You know, we're looking across the Bay of Harbor and it's like, this is a beautiful place to live. So thanks for your help.
You see, too. Well,
Yeah.
city manager report before we go to the planning commission
Sure.
equipment. Few updates. City did, I know it's been a while since we had a meeting, but the city did finalize the substation real estate agreement, so we closed on that, so that is all set. I did meet with our electric engineer, or superintendent, and our DPW director, as well as a couple of the engineers from our engineers firm, so we had about 6 or 7 people discussing the timeline for the substation. We probably will come back to council in September for purchase of the materials for the substation, and then in October for selection of the bid. As far as right now, they aren't super concerned about cost increases due to tariffs. Some might go $10,000-$20,000 up, but what has happened is there's an increase in demand for directional boring. There's a lot of people wanting directional boring, only a few companies that really do it. So they're trying to adjust the plans to do more open trench so we can lower the costs, anticipate lowering the cost for any anticipated increases for directional boring. We're still hoping to come in under our cost estimates for that, but we'll know more in September. So as requested, part of the boardwalk staircase to where it's safe has been fixed and opened. Some of those steps, so people can go climb to a certain point to see that eastern section of the boardwalk. Speaking of the boardwalk, we're at a little over $87,000 fundraise with pledges and actual donations. We do have a donor who has pledged $50,000 once we hit $250,000. So I will make some posts about that. So it encourage people perhaps to donate. We also will do an auction in early August to auction off some donated items from businesses throughout the community for the boardwalk. So we're working diligently on that. Something that we discovered through some research, that the city does not actually own a parking lot behind the New York building. It's actually owned by the DDA. It's the only property that the DDA actually owns. It was deeded to the DDA back in the 1980s. The DDA paid for the paving at that time, et cetera. So the research came up because there was discussions between some of the businesses there about how to best use a dumpster space. And we were trying to figure out a plan for it. And then we did Jim Ray to do some title work, and it's the DDA. So the DDA will be looking into that more, but that means also that they should be responsible for covering the cost of paving and maintaining it as well. So just throwing that out there, there's no decision for council to be made, but it's the one property the DDA does own that.
the city's been maintaining it all these years,
Yeah,
correct?
we've been maintaining it as well as a dumpster space. The city has not repaved it since it originally was paved. We've just been filling potholes and striping and et cetera, but yeah. I think what happened was the DDA, I want to say, went defunct for about a decade in the late 90s or early 2000s. They never dissolved, they just stopped meeting for a while. So at that point, it was probably lost in translation that, it was the DDA's and the city just assumed responsibility. So we do have an appeal of a city assessor's decision to uncap property at 683 Bluff Drive. That's being appealed to the tax tribunal. Jim Raymer talked with the city assessor, and they've contracted with specialized attorneys to handle this matter. And I think at probably some point in the future, we would probably need to go to council for a closed session discussion on this matter. But typically, city assessors can deal, well, Jim, if you want to explain how city assessors usually handle tax appeals.
Well, oftentimes they do, at small claims hearings that the assessor himself, personal, will actually represent the municipality at a small case tribunal hearing. In this particular instance, the property owner has appealed for a full tribunal hearing, which is a more complicated process and normally involves attorneys. And the taxpayer does have an attorney, and so we talked about this between Jeff and I and Victor, and my recommendation was to engage an attorney from the Bodman law firm that we've used several times before. So a woman, Erica Sarver, she's quite good and reasonably priced. So she's going to be representing the city in this matter.
Just out of curiosity, is this tax tribunal a court meets up here, or is it a state?
It meets in Lansing.
Oh, it'd be in Lansing. Okay. Thanks.
And then the last update there is that Andrew Potter has appealed the Court of Appeals decision in his lawsuit to the Supreme Court. So we discussed before how the Court of Appeal ruled partially in our favor, and he's appealing those decisions to the Supreme Court. And we are preparing responses. Our attorneys are. We'll probably know more this fall about whether or not the Supreme Court would even take up the appeal.
That could take a lot longer than this fall.
It could, but if the Supreme Court decides not to do it, then it'll get not completely, but parts of the case will be over. So.
Good luck.
And then, of course, it's been a while since we had a city manager report, but we have seen, again, significant increase in activity, our social media presence, and our website. Most of my meetings since I came back, since before and since after I came back from vacation, are MPPA related as usual. There's always subcommittees meeting about purchasing energy and developing projects. I did also have a CCE 911 meeting last week. Nothing significant there to report other than standard business. And that is all I have, unless there's any questions from council members about city operations. No, I don't have everything that we're doing administratively here, so I just touch on the major things. So if there are any questions you have.
Anybody have any questions? No.
The Boardwalk fundraising, congratulations. I'm wondering about this auction. Where are you holding the auction?
Yeah, we'll get the details out there, but it's really gonna be more of like not online, but we're gonna post the pictures of the images of the materials that are donated, whether it's a gift certificate. And we're still working out the details, but how to get people to submit their bid to city staff. It's because it's a donor's auction. It's really not an auction like we do for the police department when we have stolen or lost goods that we have sealed bids. People can come and inspect during a specific day, can inspect the actual material. And then we have a process we must follow. But because this is a fundraiser and all donated goods, we're kind of have more wiggle room to how we do the auction, but we'll get the details out there. It's not gonna be like
I'm just wondering, because I'm a business owner and I have things I could donate, but nobody's reached out to me and on the city council, and I'm just first time heard of it.
Yeah,
This happened. How you're getting it out.
Well, what happened was this was a while, so this was like a year ago. I want to believe Scotty before that, a year and a half.
Well, it was about a year ago, because I think that there was a fundraiser planned at the pier last December, and there wasn't a lot of people that had signed up for it. So they canceled the event, but they still had all the fundraising items.
Okay.
And so we need to do something with them. Yeah. And I think that some people are going to reach out to a few more people.
Yeah, so if you have anything to donate,
somebody in the city is handling this, the Parks and Rec, or?
Yeah, so I think it was a board member who actually, a Parks board member who actually handle the donations, but now it's in our lap, it's in Rachel's hands. So Rachel's gonna reach out to businesses, more businesses in the area to see if they have items. And definitely have an item, please email us or Rachel. I'll have Rachel reach out to you, but we were just dealing with the items we already had donated, like the helmet from outdoor, from Outfitter and all kinds of little small things. So we're still working on the details.
I don't know what my phone is doing.
You're always somebody.
Oh, that's. Oh my God.
You a pacemaker?
And when I'll have Rachel, I'll ask Rachel to reach out to you on that. And any other businesses, please reach out. Any other questions before we move on? All right. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to appoint a resident to the planning commission. This appointment is a mayor appointment, and then council confirms. We have we originally had 6 applicants. 3, 4 were in the city limits, 2 were from outside, but Bing Howenstein had just today sent me a voicemail and submitted a letter saying that he would like to withdraw his application due to a heavier than expected workload next year or so. So we are down to then Jean Benjamin, Chris Hyman, Carol DeGaro, Karen Buchanan, and Tom Barner as the 5 applicants. The council has the applications, and so yeah. However, council wants to handle this process, but it's all listed up there on what we are looking for. The term expires in December 2027.
We want to discuss any of the people who are ready for a nomination.
I was thinking we might want to have a brief opportunity to have some discussion if any of the applicants are here and would like to speak. Is that
Yeah.
acceptable to everybody else?
That'd be fine with me. That makes sense.
Could I?
Sure.
Sure, go ahead.
Good evening, Karen Goppigan, Houston Road. Thank you for the opportunity to apply for the open seat on the planning commission. Thank you, city council. The open seat is important as decisions we make now will impact the management, development, and future use of our beautiful city's land and buildings for years to come. So of all the applicants, why choose me? Question. I think we all bring something to the planning commission, but our backgrounds and experiences are different. Some the same, some redundant, some unique. That said, of all the applicants, I'm probably the only one who has both formal understanding of finance combined with an appreciation and formal understanding of historic architecture and its impact on the composition of what makes a community. I have a finance degree from a respected business school and a career in manufacturing finance. I also have a master's degree in historic preservation, and I've used it, among other things, to place 2 Harbor Springs area properties on the National Register of Historic Places. Understanding both financials and the community aesthetics and how they impact our visual landscape are, in my opinion, key components to any city's successful future growth. Get it wrong, and it's almost impossible to go back and correct. You probably know me as an advocate for historic preservation, and you're correct in thinking that. If selected to serve, though, I realize that my fiduciary duty is to the city and the community, and not my personal preferences. I like to educate and persuade, if possible, to preserve and protect, but my preferences do not and should not supersede the law and the rights of property owners. In closing, I'd like to cite the biblical story of Solomon and the 2 women who each claimed to be a certain baby's mother. There was no way to discern the real mother, so Solomon proposed cutting the baby in half. Hearing this, the actual mother, having a great love for her son, said, "No, please let him live. Give the child to this woman." By that show of love and selflessness, Solomon knew who the real mother was and gave the child to her. In the same way, I want what's best for the city of Harbor Springs. I think I'd be a valuable asset to the Planning Commission. But if you think otherwise, do what's best for the city of Harbor Springs, and I will support the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Anyone else like to speak? Got a comment? I'd like to nominate Judy Benjamin.
Can I just make, yeah, thank you, sorry, Tom. Yeah, over the last couple of days, I've reached out to all 6, actually 5 of the candidates, because I got the notice on Bing before I ever had a chance to talk. And I did that because I honestly didn't have good perspective on who these individuals were and what they bring to the table. And what I found was that of the 5 people that I spoke with, all were passionate about doing the right things for Harbor Springs. I mean, they really all are want to do the right thing. The thing that I have found in the 6 months that I've been on the Planning Commission is the expertise of members of the Planning Commission. By that I mean specifically, you know, if you have an architectural background or an engineering background, it's proven to be invaluable when we have looked at projects for special land use approval, or when we have looked at how to craft the language on the zoning ordinance and so on. So I would really encourage the council to consider the fact that in November, we have 3 terms that are about to expire. And we could potentially be losing some fairly serious expertise if certain of those individuals decide not to run again. And I would like to see that even though everybody wants to help the Planning Commission out and they're all well-intentioned, I'd like to see if we can find somebody that brings expertise to the Planning Commission that will help us make better decisions on special land use and on the crafting of the zoning ordinance.
I guess all of them would have some good input.
Yeah.
I hope they would. Right, thank you, Bob. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jeannie Benjamin to the vacant Planning Commission seat.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and I've got a second.
As
When you read.
Well, there can be discussion on that.
Oh, yeah. I'll
Don't have
read
any
it.
discussion. What?
Nothing, I'm sorry. I just, were there particular characteristics on Ms. Benjamin's application that you thought made her a good fit for the planning commission?
She's been on the planning commission before, she's experienced.
Mm-hmm.
She's lived around here her whole life.
Right.
I know that would bring something to the table.
Okay. Is there any architecture or background as an architectural or anything like that? Is it?
Mostly retail,
Okay.
clothing business.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Kathy Majo,
Yes.
Scott Buckner,
Yes.
Wendy Reeve,
Yes.
Jamie Milky.
Yes.
And Tom Graham.
Yes.
Motion carried.
You notify her of that, would you?
Yep, I will certainly do that. All right, the second part of boards and commission, we always go around the table to see if any of you council members have any reports on your board that met. Updates.
I attended the first board meeting on July 8th, and we discussed what did we discuss? We discussed Kiwanis Park and all of our options. We are going to stick with the current building. Looking at a remodel, we're going to maybe schedule some visits and really discuss the details in the coming months. We also explored events on public property and just learned more, asked some more questions so that we can continue to work on the policy. And there was one other thing. Oh, we learned about what we, the benefits of working with the Petoskey Harbor Springs Community Foundation. And we talked about other options that we could possibly explore in the future, like maybe an endowment fund.
Anybody else?
I can go if you'd like.
Sure.
So we had a planning commission meeting on the 17th of July. The meeting opened with public comment, which was largely focused on Article 3, regulated uses and dimensions. If I'm putting anyone to sleep, just let me know. It was determined that the planning commission should focus on zoning dimensions worksheet that our chairperson put together, rather than worry about templates and formats and things like that. And so that is exactly how we intend to proceed. There were also a few comments under the public comment section voiced in favor or mostly in opposition to duplexes. And the planning commission essentially tried to assure the audience that no decision regarding that issue has happened yet, that we're still trying to figure out how many districts we should have and what the corresponding dimensions should be within those districts. Once that's done, we can start talking about what the proper uses are for each one of the districts. We then pivoted to a special land use submittal for 125 East Summit Street for guest quarters and a garage. Reed Romaine presented his plan for the development of a garage with guest quarters on the second level. The planning commission approved that plan with the following 3 conditions. Number 1, removal of an existing tent, which is, I guess, technically considered an accessory building. Number 2, resubmittal of the plans with corrections for on-site drainage. The drainage was just completely wrong, not completely wrong, but had some serious issues with it on the site plan. And also that some minor work that is to be done with the house concurrent with the building of the guest quarters, that be completed before the guest quarters, or at least concurrent with the guest quarter development. We looked at language associated with Article 10 land development options, and the language was approved unanimously by the planning commission. And then finally, we concluded with discussions regarding zoning district dimensions. Not frankly, a lot was accomplished other than just debating what should be allowed. From a dimensions perspective, we talked about building heights in the central business district. We talked about the transitional residential district to determine whether it should be retained or collapsed. We talked about the merits of segregating the B1 district south of the bluff versus the B2 district north of the bluff to make them 2 separate districts and make them geographically centric. And then finally, it was determined that the residential office service zone should be retained. And that's all we did.
That's all?
Yeah.
At 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Kevin, Wendy?
The sewer authority met last Thursday and we had almost an hour meeting. It's gotta be a record for them. And it was that long because we met with the auditors. And this is such a well-run organization that they're out of all the townships. Only 2 of them were above budget. Everybody else was right within a decimal point of their budget at this point of the year, which says to me, when you make a budget, you know what it is you're going to expect to have come up. And the 2 that were out of budget were not Harbor Springs.
Okay, zoning board of appeals met this month. I think it was the 9th of July. There was a variance request for a house on the corner of Pine and Arbor Street. And the request was for actually a variance for they're making a pretty significant addition to the house. But one small portion of the roof, which is already in a variance, that I understood, then because they're changing it just slightly, there was needed to be an approval for the change in that variance, so it was granted.
Thank you. I went to a tree board meeting last Friday. They discussed that they had a successful Arbor Day. I was real disappointed because they spent most of the meeting talking about expanding the board from 5 to 7 people and expanding into conservation and environmental issues, which I don't know if that's what the city wants or not wants. And then that was fine. Any other comments?
Was there a harbor commission meeting?
Yes, the Harbor Commission didn't have anything significant on the agenda. There was a public comment that they decided to put on a future agenda in August, some issues about the wait list, or not issues, but some questions and ideas about the wait list and the weight of the mornings. They're gonna be on the August meeting. But this July meeting was really just a Harbor Master's report to the commission. So it wasn't a whole lot.
There wasn't a DDA meeting, I don't think.
No.
No.
The business must be adjourned.